Welcome to When You Choose You podcast. I'm Smaranda Meyer and I am your host. I created this podcast to empower people like you. I know there is so much noise out there and so much advice. What I want with this podcast is you to get in touch with your higher self. I know it's all about nutrition and good food and health, but beyond that, it's about your higher self and spirituality. And what I want in this podcast is you to feel empowered. And I want you to feel seen and heard and valued by every single one of my guests. When I created Authentic Health, the place where I support people to thrive in their health, I knew that there is more than material things. And that's why I marry together in When You Choose You podcast, nutrition, movement, hypnotherapy, spirituality, and all these juicy things. You are in for a treat. In today's episode, I have Brian Mather, and I invite you to get comfortable and listen to our podcast.
It comes down to the quality of food you eat. And if you want to live your healthiest life in today's world, you cannot rely on an 89-cent broccoli from Tesco.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And that's, once people understand that, they can make a choice. It's your choice.
This podcast is part of the GK Media Studios Creators Network, helping people tell their stories. Become a storyteller today and learn about our podcaster network at gkmediastudios.com. So
in today's episode, we have Brian Mather. I hope I pronounced your name properly. Brian is not Irish, but he owns an Irish name. So let's start there, Brian.
Well, thanks for having me, Soranda. It's a pleasure to be here today and to be part of your new podcast, which I think is exciting for all of Ireland.
Yes, thank you so much for accepting my invitation. And I think you are going to bring a lot of value to my listeners and people who are following us.
I will do my best, but you were right. I'm not Irish. And by the time people listen now, they might have picked up that there's a bit of German inside of me. So some words I pronounce might sound German, but my name is actually coming from an American mother. So I have American in me as well. So some things might sound a little bit American therefore as well.
Okay. So how an American German ended up in Ireland having an Irish name?
Yes, actually.
Interesting.
It's very interesting. I know. Because even when, the reason why I'm here is I have an Irish fiance. So I met an Irish woman 15 years ago in Australia.
Wow.
And that brought me to Ireland then 9 years ago. But even at the time, I didn't know that Brian was so kind of like Irish.
Irish, yeah.
Because even when people ask my fiance, what's his name? When they heard he's a German. And she said, Brian. And they got confused, but they thought, what, he's German.
Yes.
So where does that name come from? So that's where my name comes from, yeah.
Very good. And what brought you, did you decide to move with your fiancé? This was the reason because you came in Ireland?
This was basically the reason, yeah. So I lived in Germany. I worked there as an engineer until 9 years ago, but realized that's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. And my fiancé obviously opened a whole new world to me in regards to how life could be lived, how you can do work, how you can maybe follow things or follow passions that you didn't even know you had. And that's what made me decide 9 years ago. I suppose it was a build-up over a couple of years of being in the job and realizing maybe this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. And decided to quit then my job and move to Ireland to do something completely different.
Okay, so you quit your job in Germany and then you moved in Ireland.
Correct.
Okay, very good. So what did you do before? Because, okay, let's tell people that Brian is naturopath or...
I would say
naturopathic nutritional therapist.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And this is a totally holistic, nothing to do with engineering and technical work somehow. And what made you to take that decision?
Well, that's kind of like brings me back to probably, again, 12, 13 years ago. So when I actually started my engineering job, I had a little health challenges. So I had a chronically inflamed Achilles tendon.
Mm-hmm.
And I was diagnosed with arthritis in my shoulders at the age of 29, which just didn't make sense.
Wow. Yeah.
And the only solution I was given was, here, take another anti-inflammatory. And I always kind of like knew inside, I always knew there was something else out there, but I was never a person to kind of look outside the box. I knew it was there, but I was maybe afraid of looking, what else could I do, or what else is out there?
Mm-hmm.
But I always questioned things. So I was always asking, like, why do certain things happen, or why is this and why is that? And that's when actually my fiance came into my life at the time, when she first introduced me to something called gluten.
Okay.
Which I think at this stage a lot of people have heard of.
Yes, exactly.
I'd say a lot of restaurant owners are tired of it too, because everyone wants gluten-free meals in the restaurants. But at the time, I did a lot of research into this and realized, okay, maybe there's something to this, to what it can cause to people. And for me, it was all about just changing my diet a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we spoke earlier and you said like how much you love going to Germany, right? Actually, like not far from where I'm from.
Yeah.
And you know what Germans love. Germans love bread.
Pastry, yeah.
Pastries, cured meats, like 3 times a day. Breakfast,
Yes.
lunch, and dinner. And that's kind of like how I lived, and I loved it. I could never imagine eating differently.
Mm-hmm.
But
cheese.
And cheese, of course.
Exactly.
Cheese and salami and the hams and all of that.
Yes.
And I still like that, but I know it doesn't do me good. So back then, that was like 13, 14 years ago, I just changed my diet a little bit. I didn't like do a complete overhaul, but I focused more on alkaline foods.
Mm-hmm.
And within 6 weeks, the pain in my Achilles tendon was gone, which I carried around for years beforehand. It was gone. I was like, okay, the inflammation is gone here.
Yeah,
What's happening here? And then really, so I had this experience, very profound physical experience, where I was like, okay, there's
Wow.
more to this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started reading more and researching more. And I mean, 13 years ago, the internet was there, but it wasn't
the same, yes,
as it is today, where you can find anything within seconds. And so, yeah, I just got curious. And from that onwards, realized, okay, I want to tell people about this, because I was always someone who, if I knew something is wrong, or there's like something like done in the world that's not done right, or I would always tell people like, you have to watch this, or like be aware of that, or that's what's done to the Amazon rainforest, and this is where paper's coming from, like different things, always like educating people on things, or not to litter, don't leave your rubbish behind. It was always kind of like something that came natural to me, educating people on these things. And that's when the nutrition.
I really feel you there. You can't keep the goodness for yourself, like when you know that you can make a difference. Totally.
And that's when I just started talking to my friends, and then they got back to me and said like, oh, should I have this bread or this bread? You know, what could I eat differently? I was like, and I thought, maybe there's something in here for me that I didn't know like could turn into a future career.
Mm-hmm.
But slowly this kind of like filtered in, and kind of the seeds were planted. And just kind of like from that onwards, I became more open what else is out there in the world. Not just nutrition wise, but also through energy, through our thoughts, how we create our own reality, through what we think and what we do every day, and the people that surround us. And I've just become more aware of even the people that were with me in my office.
Okay.
And kind of like realizing that no one's happy really. Everyone just comes into work 7 a.m, they clock in, and then you're like, people are giving out at 9 o'clock in the morning because the coffee is different today to yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, it's free, so maybe just be grateful for that. But it was just little things where you can see those patterns, and you look around like, okay, there's people here, they're like 20 years older than me. Do I want to be in an environment like this 20 years from now on? And the answer was always no. Absolutely not.
Okay.
But I still didn't know what else to do.
What is next?
What else to do? But
So
it just grew and developed.
And how was your engineer mind feeling when you started to be more in a natural and holistic and open? Because I guess was a little bit of, so your conscious mind was kind of fixed and follow something like it's there, a path you know, and an algorithm and all that. So how did you feel any stress inside of you, or any challenge or any resistance?
No, I think when I really look back, I was never really an engineer.
Okay.
When I studied the subject of environmental protection, I was interested in the subject, not in the degree that came from it.
Okay.
And so I was never one that would create things or calculate things. I did, but was never really like something where I was very drawn to. I'm quite logic, that definitely, but never really someone who wanted to build things or create things. I think I was always more of an educator, to tell people what to do, or like to show them the impact it can have, rather than maybe creating a completely new solution to something. When I'm like, there's a real solution here, let's use it. That's kind of like how I function, rather than let's create another new thing.
Yes. Okay. So that was kind of natural step for you to move from that. Brilliant. So how did you find Ireland when you came? Because it's different completely than German.
It is different.
Or German culture.
It is different. And when I first came, there was a lot of excitement. It was like a new country. I've been coming to Ireland before I moved here for about 4 years on a regular basis, because already I was in a relationship with an Irish woman. And so I knew what kind of to expect. And so I liked it. I think back then also at the time, I liked kind of like the nature. I liked being close to the sea, because I never lived anywhere near the sea where I lived, whether going north, west, or south. It was always like 6 or 7 hours to go to the sea. It was always inland. And I always wanted to live near the sea, which is funny because it's something that's always been on my mind, to just like whether I manifested it or not. But I always wanted to live closer to the sea. So that was a big, obviously, like positive. I adapted to the culture and all of that very well. There's certain things where I probably struggled, because the German organization comes in and the German way of doing things came in. But now, after 9 years, I have adapted very well. And even my father-in-law now says, you're more Irish, because I'm not as punctual anymore as I used to be. So he jokes.
I know, I lost that too.
Yeah, he jokes when I come like 2 minutes past, where before I would have been 10 minutes before.
Yeah.
And so those kind of things.
We have something in common there. We have 9 years in Ireland.
Oh, very good.
Yes,
When did you move to Ireland?
So 2015.
And which month?
September, 28th of September.
Okay. Yeah. I was November.
Oh, very good. So I remember, because I'm writing the book, and I described the moment when I landed and I went in Clonmel, and was like very interesting feeling. Like I went back in time, but I advanced in a place where was much relaxed environment and energy than in Romania. And that was for me, wow, I want to live here. I don't know how, but I feel like, okay, I'm much more relaxed. Yes. I'm able to relax, because in Romania, when I left, I wasn't able to relax at all. So my nervous system was all overwhelmed.
And did you, when you came here, did you come to live here, or did you just come for a visit?
Interesting. Thank you for asking. It was, I was forced by economical reasons after a divorce. And when I came, I put all my hope in coming in a country which I didn't know about it. I didn't know where I'm going. I knew there is a river in Clonmel, and there are 2 hotels, and one of them might take me in a basic job. And that happened. But I didn't. So I was so probably ignorant, and that ignorance was a bliss at that time, because if I did know more, probably I wouldn't choose Ireland. But I think Ireland chose me, saying that, yeah, I think that happened.
Interesting, yes.
Yeah. And I'm extremely happy and content here, but yeah.
That's great.
So, what did you do after you came in Ireland?
What did I do?
You changed
Things
careers.
just happened. I changed career, but not, I did. I quit my job. But I think like a lot of things looking back now happened that just showed me what is possible when you put your mind to it, or when you allow new things to come in. So when I quit my job in Germany, my fiance said, wouldn't it be great if the company you worked for offered you a job to work from Ireland? And I thought, this is just the craziest thing ever. Why would they do that? It makes no sense at all. And she's like, just put it out there. I'm like, yeah, right. That's the engineering brain was like, yeah, that's not logical. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
But funny enough, my company, a couple of weeks after I quit, they offered me to still work for them from Ireland as a consultant for the company, where basically they flew me to Germany once a month for a week, where I looked after 3 of my former clients, and then flew back. It was all paid for. And I got paid
to do
for the consulting. Yeah. And I was like, just kind of like seeds were planted again in my head because I only knew employment. I had no concept of being self-employed. I would have never started a business because I just never had the courage. I never looked into it. I never, not the belief. And it's just like, it was just something that was not on my radar at all. But this was kind of like a first step of, okay, you want to do something different,
Yeah.
We'll give you this here first and see how you do with that. And I realized, okay, I can actually work 5 days a month. I'm doing fairly well with that. I don't need to work full time, Monday to Friday for 4 weeks to make a living. And it kind of like opened a whole new world and perspective of what might be out there. And that allowed me also then to go more into nutrition, to study nutrition, which I did in Ireland with the C&M in Galway, and become a nutritional therapist through that. But it kind of like the reason why I became able then to start my own business or my own journey, I think, was that little bit of the company gave me those couple of days. Here, start here first. Work for yourself here first. And like, of course, also the environment I was in, my fiance and her work.
I know from what I'm doing myself and what I'm studying and all the research what I do and the work what I do, that you see possibilities when your nervous system is relaxed and you are in a state of openness. You are not closed to see other options out there. The options are always there. So I don't imagine you being a stressed person, but can you relate to that when you go back and see yourself 9 years ago?
I definitely wasn't stressed at the time. I definitely wasn't. I was very open to whatever.
Okay, so you were open.
I was definitely open to whatever, open to something new, to something different, to allowing a new way, I suppose. I was definitely open that I never worried, like at the time I didn't worry about like, oh God, where do I get the money from? No.
Yes.
So that was never on my mind. And even when I first, studied and got into the work that I did before as an engineer, there was always kind of like, there was the security, that kind of like structure. I know every month I get this payment.
Okay. Do you think that would have been different if that would have been there? I'm just asking for people who are probably struggling and they are holding their dream call in life or real purpose in life because they have that fear and insecurity of a job or financial, and that's a burden, but people are stuck.
Yes, and I can say for me it was easy because I had no children.
Mm-hmm.
I had
Was
no house to pay
easier.
off.
Yeah.
I had no house to pay off.
Okay.
I lived in a rental apartment, so there was no risk. There was no real risk for me apart from leaving that job.
Mm-hmm.
I had no financial commitment. So that is an easier one compared to when you're like maybe in your mid-40s and you have a mortgage to pay off and you have 3 children at home. I totally understand that. But I also think if you really deeply believe and there's a calling inside of you and you don't even know what it is, just to explore it. And sometimes when you close a door, like new doors only open when you close a door. But as long as you hold on to the old door, the new door is not going to open. And it's I say this because it has happened to me so many times. And of course, in the moment, it's scary.
Yeah.
It can be challenging because the mind will kick in and the mind will tell you like, what if not? And are you crazy? It's just the old belief systems that we have of how we've been brought up.
And it's the self-preservation first acting to keep us safe.
Yes.
Doesn't necessarily say that familiarity is safe.
Yes.
It's just, and it's funny, yesterday I saw a post on social media that a lady said, a therapist, by the way, and she was, my day started with, I brought my car to the mechanic and I got a phone call, they crashed the car and now it has to be replaced, the bonnet and something else, whatever. And to me, straight away was, did she manifest a new car or a better car? And when I read the comments where loads was, oh, I'm so sorry for you, that must be awful and all that. And I felt a little bit, I didn't feel awkward, but I felt different straight away, but I couldn't bite in that pity victim mode at all. Like for me it was because what happened to me, I think 1.5 years ago, I had my house in Clonmel, rented house for 5 years. And at some point I started to not to feel at home, not to feel comfortable. I felt like the energy, I'm outgrowing the energy. I know what happens now. I use proper words, but I didn't have an idea what happens to me. I just didn't like the place anymore. I felt very stagnant and all that. And I couldn't see. I was stressed. Just started a business. Obvious, didn't make enough money. All that. Lucas in school. Yeah, all the responsibility of having single mothering a son. And I just put that in the back of my mind. So in one day, the landlord showed up telling us that in 9 months, because we worked for so long, we had 9 months of notice, we have to move because he sells the house. I thought all my life is falling apart. Like I could not see anything deep in I said, I manifested that. I had that feeling, but still very fearful. So since that, and obvious what happened afterwards, it's much better. And that's exactly what I was looking for and all that. But the fear, I still feel the fear in my body. Like my body remembers that fear. And it's amazing how only sometimes when you don't have the courage to do it, the universe kicks your ass when you meant to.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to explain, I think it's good to have another someone else who acknowledge that and stresses that in a good positive way, that it's possible.
Absolute. And it really is something, like I love the whole concept or the whole understanding of how our mind works. And I think if more people understood that. Now, if I could go back now 20 years, I would study psychology. Because I'm so fascinated by how
but it's not too late, you know that.
Not too late, no, not too late. So maybe, who knows what's going to happen.
You're only a child.
I'm putting it out there.
Exactly.
But really it's fascinating because, like you said earlier, we're wired for survival. There's a part of us, I'm not saying there's a part of us that is wired for survival. And that part will always keep us where we are. Always, always, always. Because simply that part doesn't know any different. So our brain is constantly scanning or comparing things that are happening in our environment, in the world, to a past experience.
Mm-hmm.
And if it can't connect it to anything, it's scary. It's going to be like, it's going to create thoughts and ideas and beliefs that this is not going to work. You're not good enough for this. Don't do it. It's too risky. Just stay where you are. It's fine there. You have everything that you need. But the other part of you is like, but there's something inside of me that I know there's something, but so like there's a constant conversation going inside of us, which is two parts of the mind communicating.
Mm-hmm.
One is trying to hold you back, but once you understand that part, it's just its job. It's like, that's what it's designed for, to keep you safe. But when you can communicate with it that it's not dangerous to go somewhere else or do something different.
How do you communicate with it?
You just with your thoughts.
Okay.
You just talk to yourself, like just the way you talk to yourself. You know, like how many times have people, you go for a run or you do some workout and halfway through you're like, oh, I just can't. I'm too tired. And we push through. And I guarantee that when people really think about it, they had some sort of thoughts in their mind like, no, I can keep going. You can keep going. And that's how you do it.
Yeah.
It's you just make sure that part of you that's scared gets a bit of safety. That's all it needs. And that has helped me a lot in many, many different situations. Understanding that my thoughts are not me. Mm-hmm. It's just a part of me that is designed to do what it's doing, which is okay. It has helped me in many other situations. But if you want to go somewhere different, just understand that there's a way of communicating with yourself to show that part that might be scared. That's okay.
Yes, yeah.
It's fine. You can try it.
And I know, I think Joe Dispenza says that we are thinking roughly 75,000 thoughts on a daily basis, and only 5% we are aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah, of which we are only.
And they're all repetitive.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I know you recently attended retreat, is it? With Joe Dispenza.
I did, yes.
Yeah, tell me a little bit. I'm very curious. It's on my dream list, on my bucket list at some stage.
But it was on my dream list also for a while. Again, I put it out there. I didn't, sometimes we plan things and then, we feel we have to plan things in order for them to be happening. But I can say I heard about Joe Dispenza like same time when I was still an engineer through my fiance, who's an energy therapist. So I heard about him and I listened to his different speeches and podcasts and YouTube videos. And that kind of like planted those seeds of your thoughts create a reality. At back then, I was like, what does that even mean? I didn't even understand. But I was like, let's let it filter in, and it's gonna grow into something at some stage. And this retreat has been.
You were open. I can see that like a red line in your.
I would say always open for new things. I'm not shutting things down. I'm like, okay, this doesn't make sense to me right now, but okay, I'm just see where this goes, see where this leads me. And with Joe Dispenza, I was this year in May. So it's like there's a story again how it led to this. So becoming a nutritional therapist, I had a client who worked with me. We had a good connection, so we stayed in touch afterwards. I started a kind of like mastermind last October to grow my business. There was an event this February in Dublin where I invited him to come because I had a VIP ticket for a guest. So he came and attended that 2-day event of networking and great, great learnings. And the day after, he sent me a WhatsApp and saying, I just booked Joe Dispenza. I never spoke to him about Joe Dispenza. But he just said to me, I just booked Joe Dispenza, is coming to Barcelona. And I didn't even know because I think I looked a few weeks before and Barcelona wasn't even announced.
Okay.
And he said, I just booked it. And I went online, I was like, let's do it. And just booked it. And it's just, but looking back now, it didn't just happen in that moment, on that day. It was a build-up over years of me saying, I want to go there. I'm gonna go there. And it was just the right time for me to experience
that. Was only the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's usually how we manifest.
Yes.
A lot of things.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
And how is your business, work, passion doing?
It's doing really well.
You are working as a nutritional therapist.
I'm working as a nutritional therapist, and I'm also a network marketer. So I do work with supplements. I do work with cell activators, as you know. And so that's my big passion. So between those two, I'm doing well. I'm growing. I'm constantly expanding the nutrition side of things.
What do you see? Are you working in person, or you are seeing clients online and in person?
It's mainly online now.
Mainly
online now, because with Zoom in 2024, it's just very easy to get clients
yes,
independent of where you live. And I want to have this lifestyle of not being restricted to a single location. That's what I've been creating for the last couple of years. That's what we want for ourselves. So being online obviously helps with that. And again, it's something I never thought I'd be doing. I never thought that's something that's even an opportunity for me or an option for me. But now that I'm creating this, it's like, oh, okay, now my brain is starting to believe this. Now the brain that was maybe scared of it in the first place can see it. So now it's familiar to that part. And now now the part is okay. So it's not scary anymore.
Okay, can you say that again, please? Because I want people to get into that, because it's so important. So your brain started to believe.
My brain started to believe. So if you told me 13 years ago, when I just started my engineering job, that I will have a online business where I can just be wherever I want to be, and that business is going to come with me, my brain would have gone into its program into, but it's not secure. But how do you know how much money you're making? But how is your insurance going to be paid? All of the buts. But over time, because I allowed the idea somewhat in, but I didn't know how it's going to manifest, how it's going to, play out. But now that I have it, those old thoughts, those initial thoughts of that's impossible, or that's too scary, or that's too risky, or how is that going to work? They're not there anymore. There's other there's other doubts and questions, of course, but those initial ones, they're gone. And that's what I'm saying. What I try to get across here is, if you want something different, just allow it. Even don't try to figure it out. It's when you try to figure it out, it's not going to happen, because you can't figure something out from a place where you've never been.
Yes, exactly. And I have my business mentor saying, F the how for now.
Yes.
Just go with what it is and let the universe do its magic. It's not your business, the how, it's the what. And
if you're really, I also say, if you're really in it with your heart, we're too focused on our head. We want to figure everything out in our head, but our heart is much stronger than our head. And so if we can come into this, and even when I heard this first, right, 13 years ago, come into your heart, I was like,
what that means?
What the F does that even mean? Like, what are you trying to tell? Like, come into my heart. What does it even mean? I had no concept of this. I'm still trying to figure it out, what it really means. But I know when I'm aligned, when I'm more allowing things to happen that I don't have full control over, or that I don't know every single step of how I'm going to get there, that's when the things happen. And when I look back, even back to like 20 years ago, so I used to play a lot of soccer in Germany. So I played for my local football team. And when I was 18, I just said to myself, without thinking about it, I'm going to be captain of the senior team. There was no question about it for me. It was just going to happen. And within 3 years, I was 21, so I became the captain of the senior team, so captaining men that were like well in their 30s. But at that time, I didn't pay much attention to it. It was like, it's just normal. But looking back now, I can see, oh wow, it was an internal voice that was so convinced that this is going to happen. And I know everyone has something in a different area that they know it's just the right thing, it's going to happen, or they want to do something. And when you go after that, when you allow that, things
what
can
comes
manifest.
up for me is that you were young, and I think the younger we are, the less programming we have and conditioning we have. We are like a child. We see a possibility everywhere, and we don't have that conditioning as embedded in our consciousness that will stop us. When that's why I like to say, don't grow up. Keep that inner child alive and joyful and playful, because that's where the possibilities are lying in.
I totally agree with you. I mean, back then also, there was no real thinking of the future. I was really much in the moment. It was all about the football at the time, about having fun, about being with your mates. And that's why this happened. But looking now, I was like, having had that experience, or even finishing college, even having a degree in engineering, I made it happen. So it's like, you start college, and I say, like, every listener here has done something which they achieved. But when they had an idea, I'm going to become XYZ, I'm going to have this job, I'm going to have this house. The house you're living in right now, it was a thought at some stage first.
Yeah.
The job you have right now was a thought at some stage first. You mightn't have known like how to get there, but you figured it out, and you were in it, and you did the things that were needed to do. And it just shows we're all manifestors.
Yeah.
We're all manifestors. Some of you might have children. So at some stage you thought, I'd love to have kids.
Yeah.
And so it didn't just they didn't just fall from the sky. And once we realize that we're manifesting these things all of the time, we just don't pay attention to it because it's normal, it's natural. And it's the same with anything that you want in life, really. Any business you want, if you want to live somewhere different, well, start thinking of it. Start believing it. Start experiencing it even in your mind, what that could look like, what that could feel like. What would you do if you were there? What would you do differently? And just start doing that today.
Yeah.
And you're going to draw that future. You're going to draw that to you. Now I sound like Dr. Joe Dispenza a little bit. But it's
we love that.
it's I believe that. I believe
if
that.
If you're listening to our podcast or watching it and you don't know who is Dr. Joe Dispenza, I really challenge you to go and Google, start there, or go on YouTube and start listening to his videos, because he is really amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I say this podcast is about ordinary people who do extraordinary things in their lives, but I think Joe is more than ordinary. I think he's going in a little of extraordinary human being doing extraordinary things for humanity at the moment.
Yeah, he does, and it's just amazing to see what can happen to people when you really like allow his teachings to come in, when you really like do the work, do the meditations, and attend an event in person at some stage. Maybe it's phenomenal.
Okay, so tell me a little bit more about your work and your supplements. What I know you are a big believer in, and they are amazing as far as I tried them myself. And let people know what is your approach on nutrition and in your work.
So my approach in nutrition and in my work really it's to work with the clients based on what their goal is.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I had to learn also, because I thought everyone has to go all the way to optimum health straight away. And I had to bring myself back to, hold on, now you started somewhere with smaller steps first. And then you went that far, then you were there, then you went a step further. So for me, it's always about bringing the client to where they are, from where they are to where they want to go. Opening a door to them, to what else is possible. So it's all about education, also what they can do, but always
showing them possibilities,
and showing them how it's possible for them with like small little changes.
Mm-hmm.
And it always depends on what the client is. So I had a lot of like weight loss clients, which is not something I would generally have thought of, but I love doing it now because it also brings so many other things. You know, I think with weight loss, there's so much focus on calories, which is just so wrong.
Yeah.
And there's just
we can
so
have
much...
a full podcast on that.
Yeah.
When you
yes, we bring Richard back on as well for that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's really about having people understand that the foods we eat, that the foods we buy in the supermarket, 98% of them are not for our benefits. That is the reality. And if we want to optimize our health, we have to let that thought in.
Yes, I wanted to jump in because you posted recently something after I taught myself of posting that, and I said, no, I can't, because Brian was ahead of me. I was shocked when I'm shopping in Dunnes majority of time because it allows me to have the organic in the same place with the other options for my other members of family. And I saw that health foods, a small little island, not even like a 10-meter lane with the health food. And what was like, what's with the rest of?
Yeah.
And it was days after I thought I'm going to do a video on that. You posted and I, okay, here we go. I'm not the only one who noticed that.
No, and it amazes me when you go into a supermarket and there's a health food section. I'm just thinking, what does it say about the
rest,
other
yes.
foods in the shop? Doesn't mean they're all bad. That's not what I'm saying. But we have to really understand that the way food is being processed today, even grown on a bigger scale, is not with the nourishment of the end user in mind.
Not at all.
It's all about
profit,
looking well on the shelf. It's all about making sure we can package the foods properly. Like, look at cucumbers. They're all straight.
Yeah.
They weren't straight 20 years ago. Apples are formed differently. Some of the strawberries that you get out of season, the shape of them, they're actually designed so they can fit them into the box properly, so we can fill the box better. It's all about these things. It's not the end user in mind of how can we make this banana more nutritious for the person that's going to eat it. That's never been there. And so that is the problem that we have with the general food supply.
Yeah. To me, it's so sad that we actually removed ourselves from what food it's supposed to be for us as humans and what it is now. It's a source of profit for big companies and food producers. Is how long it's going to last. It's a source of scarcity and conflict and separation and all that. And food's supposed to be nourishing. Bottom line, full stop.
Food's job is not for us to, like, even the whole idea of it's all about taste. Yes, of course, I want my food to taste nice or somewhat nice. But people back in the days, they weren't worried about how their food tastes. It was about, does it nourish me? Does it feed me? Does it give me what I need? Exactly. And I think we have to come back to that whole concept of, the whole idea of snacking. Like it's just food has the same effect, or it's just another way of numbing emotions.
Yes. Yeah.
And I know that might be something for some people like, oh no, I make conscious choices. We don't make conscious choices when it comes to food. We pick things that on some level our body, but also our brain wants, because it triggers, especially when it comes to sugary foods, for example, sugary and the greasy, like the processed foods, they trigger something in our brain. The food industry knows that. the way they're designed is for our brain to want it again and more, because it just triggers something. It triggers a dopamine rush, and that makes us happy for a moment, but we want it again and again and again. And so I try to, now this is going very deep here. That's not what I do with all of my clients. Like, it's really about looking where they're at. What are they having for breakfast? How can we change that a little bit up? Are you drinking enough water? It's as simple as that. How much water do you drink a day? And it's amazing to see how many people really
they don't drink.
But they also know and still don't do it. So it also shows it's not just about the knowledge, it's also understanding why we do certain things. So the psychology of things comes into play here as well. It's why are we sabotaging ourselves? I know I should drink 2 liters, but I only drink a pint a day.
Yes.
Like, I know that. I know that's why I'm tired. So it's helping the client to understand also, like, their reasoning for why they do something and they don't do something. But really it comes down to when it comes to foods, I think for anyone in today's world, if people were balancing their blood sugar better, if they were better hydrated, and if they, food-wise, if they had less inflammation, if they were reducing inflammation or having less foods that cause inflammation, a lot of people would be much better. A lot of people would lose weight they want to lose. A lot of people would get rid of the pains and aches they have, and maybe also tackle some underlying issues that they have that's diagnosed as a chronic illness. If you tackle those couple of things the right way, there's a lot you can do with food alone. But having said that, it comes down to the quality of food you eat. And if you want to live your healthiest life in today's world, you cannot rely on an 89-cent broccoli from Tesco.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Yeah. And that's, once people understand that, they can make a choice. It's your choice.
For me, I remember when I started this journey towards nutrition, and it was funny. It was in Ireland, and I couldn't understand how a pack of sausages, what is called sausages in the supermarket, the pinky thing, what is not meat, but whatever, it was, I think, 69 cents at the time. And didn't make any sense. Now I was in a big financial hole, deep, like, stress. I could not food was never was a non-negotiable for me when it comes to quality, because I was always aware that this is what I need first in order to survive everything else, like deal with everything else. But I was like, how people don't understand, don't see those things. Like, you can't buy quality food with 65 cents for 8 sausages or 6 sausages, what are in those packs. And yeah, exactly. So good food, it is a little, like, it's different. It's going to be more expensive. Let's call the spade a spade.
Foods, it's reality. Foods, like, if you want better quality, you're going to pay a higher price. But I'm also saying, when you make those choices and you choose the better foods, some things you will realize they last you longer because you need less.
Yes, I always say that.
Less of the higher quality food nourishes you much more than the empty 89-cent conventionally grown broccoli, compared to a broccoli that was grown maybe in a farm down the road. There's so many farms popping up now in Ireland, which is fantastic. And they're growing food, and you can get higher quality, which is local, which hasn't traveled far. So it's fresh, it's full of nutrients. And so that makes a difference. But I think it's also because people make a lot of unconscious purchases.
Yes.
I'm not judging anyone. I'm not putting the finger on anyone. I just want people to become more aware of what they're doing and how they make decisions. Because I can see it in the supermarket. A lot of times, trolleys are they're just filled automatically with things we don't need. And of course, that costs money. But when you take these things out and you buy real food, now all of a sudden you have the money also for the real food. And if I look at our fridge, how it used to be stocked with all sorts of things, and now it's like it's only half full. Because we need way less. Again, I don't have children. That might be an easier one to say, But I think we really have to come back to, what does our body really need? There's a reason why we have chronic illnesses going up. There's a reason why kids, why every school has special needs assistants now. It's like, I hear it. I hear it from parents. Like, there's a reason for these things, and we can't just close our eyes to it and just continue the way we've continued. We don't need a study for it either. We just need logic.
Yes.
We just need common sense. Because if you're feeding certain things to yourself, your body's going to react to it in a certain way.
Yes.
And that's what we see today. And that's kind of like what I do with my clients, always based on where they want to go, help them along the way. Now, some of you might think, oh God, if I come to Brian, I have to change everything. I'm never going to say you have to change everything, but I want to educate you and give you the power to make better decisions for you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you still, do I eat chocolate? Yes, I eat chocolate. Do I sometimes eat a bag of crisps? Yes, I do. But it's a very, very rare time. But my main dishes, they are fresh, they're high quality. And that's what I want people to get back to, is like really make sure you have high quality in your main dishes, so that when you want something here and there, have it, but make a more conscious decision rather than an automatic
Yes.
purchase, which is unconscious. And by the time you have eaten that bag of crisps, you're actually like realizing, where was I even the last 10 minutes? You were just zoned out in a different world. And that's kind of like where I come in, is just to show people to be more aware of what they're doing and how the things they're doing right now contribute to the issue that they have.
Where the supplements are in your work, what role do they play?
Supplements play an important role in different ways. Now, if you asked me 6-7 years ago, of course, like, nutrition has to be the foundation. Like, that's your foundation. That's what's going to build you up properly. But even if you eat the cleanest diet today, it's still going to be difficult to get all the nutrients that you need. I firmly believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Simply because our soils are depleted in minerals. So when you think, okay, like, let's say a Brazil nut is the highest plant-based source of selenium, for example.
Yes.
Yeah. But the soils are now being depleted of selenium. So do Brazil nuts today have as much selenium as they had 20 years ago? I don't even know. I don't think there's any studies been done on that recently. But we know that the soils are being depleted. So therefore, the end product that we eat is depleted as well. So we have to supplement certain things. And so I think there's certain things everyone should be taking. Now, of course, I can't make any medical give any medical advice here, but there's certain things I think everyone should take. The main thing is magnesium.
Yes, I agree with that.
Magnesium, I think, we're
Because
talking about
we
vitamin
use-
D, right?
We use magnesium in so many processes in
Exactly.
our body, and we
Exactly.
definitely, as healthy as we can be, and we try to eat, you don't really have 100% from it.
Yes. And so magnesium is so important. It's not just for sleep, it's for over 300 processes in the body. Make sure you get the right quality of magnesium, not just a cheapy one from Boots that you might rarely absorb. Go to a health
Or
club.
Holland and Barrett.
Or Holland Barrett, right? Go to a proper place where you have a high quality of a magnesium product that your body can actually absorb. But yeah, there's other supplements I work with too. So something that I am very passionate about is something called NRF2 activation. So 7 years ago, kind of like in the middle of my nutrition journey and studies, I came about something that was clinically proven to reduce oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. And that to me back then was a big eye-opener, because I realized, well, hold on now. Pretty much every illness on the planet today is linked to high levels of oxidative stress.
Can you unpack, because for us it's common to say
Yes.
oxidative stress.
Yes.
Oxidative stress.
Yes.
We are working with it.
Yes.
So just in regular language, can you explain what is oxidative stress?
Of course. Think of oxidative stress, or maybe you've heard the word free radicals
Mm-hmm.
before. So I always use the example of an apple. when you cut an apple and you leave it on the counter, it turns brown after a while.
Naturally.
Yes,
correct.
Naturally. But now also, funny enough, with the way the food industry has been designed things, nowadays apples don't even turn brown anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I want people to think of that too. Is that a good or a bad thing? It might look good, but that's another story, right? But naturally, an apple would turn brown, or an avocado, it turns brown. A banana, it turns brown. Because it gets damaged by the air.
Mm-hmm.
It gets damaged by the oxygen, which are basically free radicals. So they just damage. Let's just call it what is damaging aging. The same thing happens in our body 24/7. Because we breathe air and we eat food and it comes into our cells where that is turned into energy. And the byproduct, a bit like in a car engine. So the car engine takes in petrol or diesel
Mm-hmm.
and it gets burned or like mixed with air, and then it gets burned to create energy for the engine to move and for the car to move. But there's a byproduct coming out at the exhaust.
Yeah.
We don't want that, but it's just part of that process. And the same thing happens in our body. There's a byproduct in every single cell in the body, which damages. And that's what makes us get older, what makes us age. But aging really is such a vast kind of like term. Any chronic illness is really aging.
Yes.
Because it's just the body not being able to repair what has been damaged. Can't keep up with repairing what has been damaged. And when you reduce the oxidative stress by naturally switching on the body to basically increase its own protective so-called antioxidants, a lot of great things can happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, when I heard about this first 7 years ago, I saw a huge opportunity because I understood already that every illness is linked to inflammation. Every illness is linked to high levels of oxidative stress. Every illness is linked to the body not being able to repair.
Yes.
And so when we can switch on the body's own ability to repair itself again, magic things can happen. And that is even for me as a nutritional therapist, it has blown my mind to see what these products have done for people without even changing the diet.
Yes.
Where again, my belief and my programming came in of like, no, but it can't work if they don't change their diet. But what I've seen is it has had huge impact on people in improving their health, which then led to them making better choices when it comes to their food, when it comes to their lifestyle.
And
so that's where
we use that in our family. And that was exactly the moment when I chose to take the supplements, your supplements, let me put it like that, the supplements that you promote, because we were looping with my partner. No, not me, my partner. And I knew I have to start somewhere because his life was so overwhelmed and he couldn't focus on foods to make better choices. It was not my place to make choices for him, even though I knew, but that's the way how it works. For people thinking that I am a fixer, I can't fix anyone, so you have to make your own choice. And I realized if I start somewhere and loosen a little bit that cycle is not so strong anymore, we can start implement. And that was the transition. The chronic fatigue eased and started to and supported him to start having breakfast, because we were not having a breakfast for nearly a year. Was just no capacity of doing changes. So I totally get what you're saying. Yeah. That doesn't mean that a supplement replaces the diet 100%, but I 100% relate to what you're saying.
And I also look at it from this perspective of my definition of health is different to yours, is different to everyone else. Everyone has a different definition of what it means to be healthy.
Mm.
And while I think someone should eat a healthy diet and supplement and do other things on top of that, someone else might think, you know what? I don't want to change anything. I'm just taking supplements.
Yeah.
I think that is still so much better than not doing anything. I think that's still so much better than relying on medication,
100%.
which doesn't fix the problem. It just covers and causes side effects along the way. And it also, like you said, it might be a door opener. I've seen people that had high cholesterol, and through that, their cholesterol dropped, their blood sugar dropped. Where again, from my nutrition training mind, it was like, no, but you have to change your diet. But when you understand that reducing inflammation and reducing oxidative stress has such a major impact on so many things, even if you keep the same diet. Now, do I want you to change your diet? I do, but it's not on me to decide that for you. It's just about educating of what's there and what people can do. And that's just like you said, it can be a door opener for people then even to, wake up a bit more refreshed, a bit more energy in the morning. Now they're like, oh God, maybe I'll have a proper breakfast and I don't just shovel like a bowl of cornflakes into me to get something.
Yes.
And that's what Weetabix, right? So it's to create that same cycle, the same sugar spikes, the same blood sugar ups and downs. And it's once you feel a bit better, once you sleep a bit better, you will automatically make better choices.
100%.
And that's where what I work with has made a big, big difference to a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm studying more and more about nervous system regulation and how expensive is for our nervous system to change. When a nervous system is crippled with fear, pain, overwhelm, stress, it is extremely expensive to stretch even that little bit. So creating that, giving that something what will make the nervous system to feel a little bit more relaxed, and you are coming from a physical body now. So you give a supplement what is clean, what is tested, and you help the nervous system to make a bit of room for expansion.
Yes.
That's the way how I see things.
Yes. Nervous system regulation is so important, and it's something that I have to work on a lot myself too, because I'm not immune to dysregulation there either. So I can totally relate to that, and I know so many people are in the same boat because we're constantly stressed.
I'm not a master. I think this is something what you become aware of. You just know how to regulate.
Yeah.
And that's something what it's part of, I don't know why we are not learning that in school. And because this is something what is so vital. It's a skill what can be built, can be learned, and it's makes your life easier and better.
100%, because everything in our body follows the nervous system.
Yes.
So the way I think the whole field of endocrinology is just, without offending anyone, but that's just a joke, because your hormones are not the problem.
Yes.
Your hormones are just reacting to something that's going on in your body. Your hormones are the last thing that changes in your body, and your hormones are mainly following your nervous system. And of course, the foods you eat, and there's other things. But like, how many times?
It's very interesting that you say that. I never thought, but makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, when your nervous system is in stress, and whether you're actually in stress because your life is so busy and there's so much going on, or you're carrying some old memories or traumas, and it doesn't have to be like a trauma that was like something,
small traumas.
Like small traumas can still have had an impact on the nervous system that's still built in. Sometimes you see two people go into the same situation, and one is scared and the other one isn't. But it's the same situation. So who is reacting to that? It's your body's nervous system. So it just means your nervous system is like has a lower threshold for certain things. It's more alert. It's more on it's just more alert, more switched on. And all of that, of course, has a knock-on effect on hormones. I mean, look at fertility rates, and look at how many women are now struggling to get pregnant. It's the nervous system. There's, of course, the foods. There is the toxins in the foods and other things that play a role as well. But the nervous system plays such a huge role, because the stress hormones your body is going to produce, they will have an impact on all your other hormones, your sex hormones, your female hormones. All of that is affected by by your stress levels.
Yeah.
And so nervous system regulation
your
is
digestion.
Your digestion, exactly.
Yeah.
So your repair, all of that. And so nervous system regulation is so powerful and so important. And again, also I can see a lot of things happening actually in that space, especially in Ireland, a lot of little circles popping up here and there. You might have seen things like cacao ceremonies or womb healing. A lot of like women and girls are getting into that now. So, which is
sound baths.
Exactly, sound baths. All of these things are super helpful. Meditation classes, yoga by itself to help, relax your nervous system. It's stress has its purpose. It also keeps us. I mean, we're probably both a bit stressed now here because we're doing this podcast, which is good. It keeps us focused. But we don't want to be in that state, in that heightened state all day,
all the time,
every day. But when you're in that, that's when it becomes an issue. So you have to find the balance between having those levels, but then also having phases where you can really unwind and bring your nervous system down, make yourself feel safe and calm and relaxed, because all of that will have a knock-on effect and on other things.
Yes, exactly. What extraordinary habits you have?
I don't know if they're extraordinary.
For you are extraordinary. I am sure. Or what habits do you have you can't live without them?
If I don't do a certain routine in the morning, my day doesn't go well. So I need certain things to be done in the morning in order to have the outcome I want of the day. So that's, if I said like a habit would be, it has definitely been the last couple of months. And I've had routines on and off, and then I followed something and then I let it go again. But right now for me really is getting up in the morning. It's doing my meditation. There's one particular one that I'm doing right now, following Dr. Joe Dispenza after attending his retreat. And then I go outside, whether I go for a walk or I go for a run. Until I came back and I had my shower and I had a breakfast, I haven't touched my phone. So the habit might be like not touching the phone, because as soon as I touch the phone, the old program goes on. So when it comes to habits, I think it's also important to understand that old habits will always stay there. Old programs will always be with you. It's about building new ones that kind of like become stronger than the old ones. But if I get up in the morning and I grab my phone straight away, I'm going to guarantee you I'm not going to meditate. I'm not going to go for a walk or run, because the old program goes on. So that's for me, like, it's not extraordinary, but it's so simple to actually do this and do in the morning something for me, something I had to learn, not be like responsive to other things straight away. Do something for me, do something that I know I need, that works for me, which is the meditation and is the walk or the run. And then throughout the day, I would have other little habits. So I am making sure that I'm drinking enough water. So I would tick actually like off how many glasses of water I drink throughout the day. I think they're like really the major things. I've done so many different things over the years, but always came back to the old programs. And now I really realized doing, like, the morning is for me
to set the day.
The morning is for me to set the day, to tell myself that I am actually worth, or I'm worthy of getting something good.
Yes.
Because if you just work, and then at the end of the day you give something to yourself, for me it just works better to do that first, because then the rest of it is like, I've given to myself already, so now I can give to others. And so that's, for me, is so important to start the morning focused on me. But it took me a while also to become okay with that, because that old program is like, no, work. Go into work. Do something first. You have to do something to get your own self-worth. But when you do something for yourself, it's worth actually like so much more, and had a big impact on me, really.
Very good. And just one technical question there, because you said you meditate, but you don't touch the phone. Are you doing meditation it's not guided meditation, is it?
Sorry. Okay. So I might have lied
just make
there.
sure that
I do use my phone, but my phone is in flight mode all night.
Okay.
So the only thing I do in the morning is I turn on the meditation because it's saved on my phone.
Okay.
So there's no new messages coming in.
Just in case someone thinks, okay, I'm going to do that, and practical tip to make sure that yes, you can use the tool.
Yes.
Yeah.
But definitely like have your phone switched off at night in flight mode and don't have them in your room. There's no need for the phone in our room. That could be another habit.
Buy an alarm clock.
Have the phone. Have your alarm in the hallway.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Which means you're going to get up.
Exactly. Yeah. Or just get up. I don't use an alarm myself, but I always get up at 5:30.
Maybe you can teach me how to do that.
Okay. We'll do another podcast. So shoot me with a question, Brian.
Yes, so I have a question for you. I want to know from you, what does it mean for you to live your fullest potential?
To say yes to my call in life, because I am aware of my call in life, and not to reduce, but to silence that voice what says you can't, or not now, and just being able to see the possibilities. I think that's where I am at in life. More and more aware that the field of possibilities is absolutely infinite, and I have access to it. And every day it's a new opportunity to see that field and to access it, and staying connected with the source, whatever source people are calling God, universe. I call it universe, but keeping that connection, because you are the source. And I think every experience, what I'm going through, it's not, I'm creating that. And I'm very conscious what I'm saying. I am creating every single experience, what I'm going through, and taking that as a learning, not as a punishment, not as a bad thing, whatever. I'm learning. So in that case, I'm quite relaxed.
I like that.
Thank you for the question.
You're welcome.
And thank you for being here. It was so pleasurable and so nice to have this deep chat. And I hope people are going to like and find something useful for their lives, and turn off the noise out there, what became so normal, and tune in their own potential. Thank you.
Thank you.